And then what's going to happen if you do that? No, you think it's okay to do that. There's a difference. And if we ask every time they say a sentence, you just want to be quiet for a while and allow them to vent. That's the word I think came up quite nicely. Say what you need to say. Let them say it out and we take it from there. Yeah. So Maria, I see that frown. Share with us.
No, I'm just thinking.
Okay.
I like to use silence. And that with my perception about it is it gives the person or students in my class the opportunity just to redirect their thoughts and just to feel almost the air, because it's safe now to disclose or not. Because it's you start with a sentence and then it builds and then it builds. And then after a while you can actually get to the issue. And if you are overpowering the whole individual story, it's not their story. So if you put enough space there for silence, then it stays their responsibility, their story.
And I think often the students are coming with a lot of issues. Their mind is filled with all of this that's happening, and it's spewing out in what they say. And the moment we allow that silence, it also allows their mind to dissipate in terms of what's happening. They have time to breathe now and say, okay, I said that. It feels fine. So let me think a little bit more about what I do. It's almost like this moment. It's quieter. It's helping us to reflect a little bit more deeply. But it's valuable because it's giving us that space to do that. Yeah. It was quite a heavy sigh there, Marvin. Are we okay? Okay. I'm reading the body language, see? Okay, so we've spoken a lot about this already, respecting the person as unique, unconditional positive regard. So, irrespective of what they're saying to me, I still regard them positively in a sense that you are capable of making a decision here that's going to help you move forward. I may not say it in so many words, but I trust that person's capacity. And the way I engage with them shows them that I trust their capacity. I believe in their inner strength to move forward. You're responsive, so you have non-verbal and verbal expressions of caring, and that's not only through what you say, but also through your voice, your tone, your posture, your gestures. And then being real. So when it is half an hour gone and you're still talking, and I have a class to go to, I'm going to have to be real with you to say, look, this is my situation, this is my timetable for now. You're welcome to come back another time, otherwise I could refer you to somebody else. And that student then sees you as a human being as well. You're not there just to mollycoddle, but you're there to say, we can do this. Here's an appropriate time where we can get together. Yeah. Any questions on this one? Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of role play. And again, you are welcome to engage with it or not. Sit in as an observer if you like to, or participate. Feel free. Okay, so some of the attending skills that we were talking about, where we said active listening, attending carefully. The solar map is one of the easiest ways that we often teach students or people that are learning basic skills. And the S standing for sitting squarely, so it's really this way, but your shoulders facing the other person, open posture, so yes, no. Your hands are quite open at your side, whatever's relaxed for you. So it's really relaxed. Lean forward when you need to hear, depending on the space of the person. So if I'm right next to you here, I'm not going to be leaning like this. It's in your space, it's too much. Ne? So you want to be careful of what you're doing there. Sometimes your offices are that small, and you've got the table between you. It offers that protection. Like, thank God we got this here. And then relaxed posture. So the more relaxed you are, they're able to breathe that in. So sometimes when you're sitting next to the student and he's talking to you and you are, or you're fidgeting and you're drinking your water and you're walking up and down, they can see that you are not handling this very well. And so they also become a bit agitated and a bit more stressed. So the more relaxed and calm you are, gives them a sense of containment. So minimal encourages. You're really talking about just offering them the opportunity to say more. Okay. Okay. So the nod, just the nod with the rather than yes, and then what happened? Shame. Tell me, oh no. It's a big difference. Yeah, you're encouraging them to say more with those type of things, but it's not helpful. So attentive silence. So being comfortable with the silence in the space. And then waiting for an appropriate pause before responding. And then you're looking also at presentation, not only your own, being aware of your own mood, your own body language, but also theirs. So the self-awareness part there is quite important, because if you're suddenly aware that, here, I got 5 minutes more, it's my next class, I need to do this, I need to do that, you're aware that something about my heart rate is moving here, I need to respond in a way that's going to help contain the situation. But you want to also be aware of the student. So when he's presenting, is he looking quite depressed? It's a big word that the students use, I'm depressed. I said, so why do you think that? No, I read about it on Google, and it's you'd be surprised how many students say that. I've read about anxiety and anorexia, and I think it is me because I've read all about it there. And so you want to be able to pick out from their presentation of themselves what exactly is happening. So is it quite a lot of tearfulness in the engagement? Are they open? Are they tense, rubbing their hands? Are they anxious all the time? Their dress, here we're not asking you to consider their fashion sense, but sometimes if somebody is quite depressed or they don't really take good care of themselves, so they could be unwashed, their clothes could be really disheveled. But then again, it's a difficult one because the students are living and there's no iron there, so you want to be able to make sense of all of it together, as if to pull out just one and say, no, he must be depressed because of that. It's not okay. So you want to get the full picture, and part of getting the full picture is looking at the whole student. Yeah, good. Anything there seem like, I don't think I can do that one?
I have a question. I think the only one for me that I've learned over the years that is a bit of a challenge is the appropriate eye contact, because of the culture thing. What we assume, I must look at you. And in some cultures it's like, especially with male, females, and in the age generation, that eye contact can come in. I mean, a younger student won't look you in the eye as much as you encourage them to.
Yeah.
It could be a generalization, but it is a fact.
So you want to be sensitive that the cultural differences may impact this, but again we're saying appropriate, so I'm not staring you down. It's appropriate. Yeah. I had a student that was brought in by a lecturer. Several issues were going on, and she would speak to me, and the moment I brought in somebody else with her permission that could assist her further, she just looked down all the time, refused to look up, refused to participate. And the cultural sensitivity, then I had to be aware of what was happening. That was a male, she was a female, the age gap, all of that began to play. Okay. All right, so we're going to role play. So we need 3 in a group. One will be the student, one will be the counselor, and one will be the observer. Okay, so these are 2 scenarios. You can choose one of them, or you could make up your own. Okay? So student enters the office 2 days after the test or exam and says he wants a second chance, second opportunity, because his parent was either sick or he died, or he was in an accident. The second scenario, the student enters, sits down, starts to cry, and then discloses that she's been raped. If either of these scenarios are not something that's real for you, and you want to bring in one of the examples that you've had happen in your class, you can do that. Okay? So you're going to have to decide in your group of 3 who's the student, who's the counselor, and who's the person doing the observation. The person doing the observation is going to see if you are doing the solar map. Are you sitting squarely? Are you open? Are you leaning forward when you need to? Is there appropriate eye contact? Checking the posture, listening to the minimal encourages. Yeah? The person that's observing will also see whether you're demonstrating all of these things that we've covered already. and then we'll give you feedback. And then you're going to swap. So if I was the student, then I become the counselor. And the counselor becomes the observer and somebody else observes. Maybe we can do it twice. Is that okay? So when you're giving feedback, it's important to give the sandwich type of feedback. Are we familiar with that? Yeah? Yeah, we've done emotional intelligence. Ne? So you raise the positive. I liked what you did there. I saw that you were sitting openly. It was an open gesture. You were square. You maintained eye contact. I found it a challenge where you tried to close the gap at every conversation. But I like the fact that you gave the student opportunities for looking at options. You see? So it's a sandwich, one good, the negative or the challenge that needs to be worked on, and another positive. Okay. We good to go? All right, so we need 3 in a group. So if you're 4 in a group, you're going to join somebody else's group. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No, we can't do 1, 2, 3. We need to do 3 in a group. Go for it. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3 here. Is that okay? These 3 okay? Are you 3 going? Okay. Which group are you? Anybody to join this group? I'm not sure. So Mary, are you joining this group? 3. Okay, you 3 together? 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, Tumetsu? Happy to join there? Thank you. And we've got 1, 2, 3. I don't know which 3. Are you going to be 4 and 2 are going to observe? Is that okay? All right, so you want to move your chairs. You want to move your chair to a position that allows you to have open posture and not have your table as a crutch. All right, so find a space in the room. All right, are we ready, guys? Okay, so let me help with this one. It can be quite intimidating. Yeah? Even if you choose one volunteer to do that, we can do that. Otherwise, you can say, let's do it as a big group. But it's easier for me. Are we happy to try? Role play? No comment means we're good. Okay, this group's ready to try. This group, we've got 1, 2. Who's going to be the student? Okay. So what role are you taking? Student, counselor? And so the other person's the observer. Okay, so observer's making notes on this side. Who do we have? Student?
I'm observer.
Okay, for this round, ne?
Yes. Okay, I'm the student.
Student, counselor. Okay. This group? Have you chosen your roles? Observer for this time?
Student.
Counselor. Okay. 2 observers, student and counselor. Okay, observers are making notes. Remember the sandwich effect. Okay, what scenario are you choosing?
What are you doing?
You're the student? What scenario are you choosing? After the exam. Okay, so you can put your spin on it, whatever's normal for you.
I did myself, like I usually would be. Then I'll be sitting like this.
Are you the student?
No, I'm the girl.
Okay, so the observer is watching it, but remembering the feedback has to be positive with the negative inside. Okay, so let's move a little bit back. How far are we sitting together? Right, okay, we're good. We're ready to go with this group. Student and counselor ready, observer ready. Observer's coming out of the dyad. All right, observer, we can just move you a little bit back so that you give this to enough space to handle that. You taking any notes? Okay, I'll leave that slide on so that you can see what's expected of you. And we can hello. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Welcome back. You're welcome just to join any of the other groups, and you can be a second observer in that group. We're just busy with the role play at the moment, so they're role playing actual counseling session, and we're just wanting to observe whether they're able to do those things in the support. So counselor, student. Did I get that right? Counselor? Student, counselor. The observer. All right, observer, are you taking notes? So we're not really concerned about what the person is saying, the advice. We want to watch for those things more carefully. Ne?
But that criteria is for the counselor, hey?
Yes, yes, not for the student.
Not for the student.
Because now you
Are we good? Are we done? He sorted her out one time. Okay, feedback?
The eye contact of the student too, there was no eye contact between the two.
Okay.
But especially the counselor was like looking the student in the eye, but the student was like, where you can mistake it to or interpret it as cheating or
she's not
mischief.
Okay.
And then the counselor is or the lecturer is emphasizing the fact that there are rules and rules must apply, which is the truth.
So
Because as soon as she accepts her excuse, it means it must apply to all.
Okay. So can I check, did the lecturer listen to the students and then was quite honest to say these are the rules, these are the regulations, okay, and then?
And then, when they reached the deadlock, the counselor referred the student to
Okay.
the HOD because she also didn't want to breach, aggravate the.
Okay, so the counselor had a sense that, okay, this is all that I can take from here and I'm going to refer you then. So tell me, as a student, how did you find the experience? Did you feel listened to?
Yes,
Okay.
I was not giving eye contact because I was actually not trained.
Yes, yes.
But when I looked at her, I felt that she was looking at me.
Okay.
Just paying attention.
Okay, so she read it correctly when she knew you were not telling the truth. So she was sensitive to your body language and so you felt listened to and you felt contained. So your experience of the situation, actually being that counselor, did you feel like?
She's a very good actor. So and I can feel myself getting angry.
Okay.
Because you know the line, and I need to learn
Okay.
to contain myself.
Okay.
And not become sarcastic.
So how could you do that better? By being real. So if you say I have to be real, would it be appropriate, do you think, could say, I'm feeling like you're not being completely honest with me here? Would I be accurate in saying that? So you're kind of pushing it back to say, I'm feeling this, but is it really that the case? So you dealing with your anger because it's coming up, and you're aware of, why am I angry? Oh, I think she's lying. Let me check it. Let me check with her. Can I check with you? It sounds like you're not being truthful to me. Yeah, think so? All right.
As a student, I would then feel that this lecturer is not trusting.
Okay, let's hear. What would your response be if she did that? And she said, it feels like you maybe not being honest with me. Is that a? Would that be?
She said to me, what made you come to school today? And then I told her that I was so sick. And then my mother gave me some, my mother said I couldn't go to the doctor. So for me, it's like she could sense that I was not telling the truth. And then now she doesn't want to believe what I'm saying.
So she was aware of your being untruthful. So if you want to try that and see how she responds. You're good. It's okay. All right. So maybe let's swap and somebody else be the observer and. Okay. What? How did it go? Who was the client? Was the client? So did you feel listened to?
Yes.
Did you feel that the person was attentive to you and was able to give you a chance to vent?
Yes.
Okay, and as the counselor, how did you feel?
Yeah, she was very emotional.
And it made you, what did it do for
It
you?
was a bit difficult. Like she said, I forgot to ask her if she wanted me to, for example, refer to a counsellor or whatever.
So you felt overwhelmed by her
A little bit,
emotions.
yeah. You know, I gave her a tissue and I gave her a pat on the back and everything, tried to comfort her.
Okay, so you went in to close the gap because it felt overwhelming for you.
Yeah, I stayed quiet for a while to give her time to speak.
Okay, so your observation is it didn't work out as well as you thought, perhaps. But I want to hear from the observer what went well.
Yeah, no, what went well is she listened. She gave her time to tell her about the problem. She explained to her the situation, you know, of what is required in this situation. I gave her the option. Yeah, the only thing is just, is like I said, that she didn't, you know, because the scenario was about the exams and that there was a death in the family. That the person had problems concentrating, so maybe to say that they need further assistance which you cannot provide. But further on it was...
Good. Did you feel comfortable?
No, it didn't.
Not for you observing, like, okay, no. You like anticipating, I'm next, oh my word.
Although I have a lot of empathy with people and with students and so on, I tend to, especially if they're really emotional, like I tend to go to the practical side, like I told you about, you know, the exam process, and I'll need to be a certificate and things like that, just to maybe not let it flood too much, you know, like.
So that's a
get
good
out of
technique
hand.
because it's containment. So you help contain it by asking those useful questions. So it's not a bad idea. It's a healthy way to just help the student come in and say, okay, so this is the challenge, these are the options, and then they start to breathe a little bit and they can compose themselves again, and then they can continue from there. So you want to swap? Who's doing next? Who's going next? Okay, all right. Are we done? Did we role play already? Already did one. So who was the student? Who was the student? How did you feel? Did you feel listened to?
Yes, very much.
Very much so. Okay.
First of all, listen to from what she was doing. She gave me the attention to listen to tell. She accepted that.
So you felt supported in the. Okay. For yourself, Samiri, what was the experience like? Did it come naturally?
Yeah.
Okay, so it felt comfortable, it felt you were congruent, you were genuine, it matched your personality style, it matched what you felt in the situation.
Just an remark, the observer said, I didn't flinch or there were no expression in my face when I listened to the vision, and then the only remark was sometimes, yes, it's good not to show emotion, but if you don't show emotion or show reaction to something, then the student will think, why am I reacting?
Yes. So it's not real. It's not real. Okay, so we want to come back to the realness, the genuineness, matching. Is it linking with this situation? Is there a match or a mismatch? Yeah? What else did you observe? What worked well?
I said to myself, because it's our role playing, she was too focused, you know. She did everything right. She eye contact, maintained eye contact, and she listened to the student, and everything was there. I don't know.
Why did it surprise you? As the observer.
You know, as an observer, I'm putting myself into their shoes. If it were me, I would have. I'm so sorry, you know.
So you felt yourself, okay, it's not the way I would have responded, so it surprised you, okay?
Because if I were in their shoes, I don't know, maybe I'm too personal. Maybe I would have stood and, you know, gave a student a hug or something.
Okay. So this sticking to this is difficult. So we're gonna put it together now. Let's see how it works. Let's swap.
professional boundaries. I'm open and warm, but I will never, even when I'm a student, because
Especially with all the sexual harassment cases we have on campus, it is horrific. It's horrific.
when I'm alone in my office, there's no one else who has to.
That's it.
So, and usually they come in, and a lot more male students than female students, then they come into the office. Yes, it's quite a space, but I don't have a desk in front of me, so I need to turn and
I'd like you to raise that when we talk about the boundary issue, because I think it's quite a challenge for many of us, because sometimes it seems like I should be able to just tap you, and then it's like, okay, what are the challenges with it?
Because I'm a touchy person. Maybe you've not.
Yes, your love language is touch.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love touching, and maybe it's just
All right, let's swap and see if we can do different role. Have you done one role play already? Just one or two? Just one. Okay, so who was the student? Student. Okay, so how did you feel as the student? Did you feel listened to? Did you feel?
She listened to me. She gives me another option, so I'm okay.
You felt that this worked for you. If I had to come back, I would come back to Leandra, for sure. For you, Leandra, how was it?
It was hard being counselor slash lecturer, and pretty much I felt in that frame of mind because I can very much empathize in terms of the harsh students, how they come across, demanding, you know, that you've got to change my marks. What can I do? The manipulation and that.
Okay.
And to put into terms of that specific role, it's hard to clearly define how to act and how to respond in an appropriate way that will benefit the students.
So sometimes when they come across quite harsh, it affronts you. And it's a bit tough to decide, okay, do I be affronted back and tell you where to get off, or I need to just be calm and contain you? So observer, what did you observe?
One thing that I clearly saw that is she was open to the student, so she was comfortable, relaxed. She wasn't like, okay, what do you want to tell me now? That type of thing. The student was more like, I'm here and I'm going to take control of the situation type of effect. And she listened to everything, and then the questions that she asked was actually in such a way that she tried to get more information from the student to what was difficult in their test, so she could know what the student's struggling with. So it wasn't just about what's the problem, but she also tried to find a solution by the way she asked the question.
Okay, great. Sounds good. So Sandra, we're going to join you with these two. So Sandra's either going to be the observer or the student, and two of you are either going to be the counselor or the observer. Okay, so Sandra will be the student. Would you be happy to be the counselor? Good.
He's got this headache, and from this headache now it's like, you know, it took me time to actually realize what was the problem. You know, each time I gave him money to go to Mbuyo to buy maybe Panado or Kufra or something. But at a later stage, I noticed and I realized that this boy was hungry. I realized that he was hungry. Each time he complained of this headache, I realized that it was headache from hunger.
So you watched his presentation. You watched his mood, his body language. What was he saying? It was more than just the words he was saying.
Yes.
Okay. Did you play it down the second time? And who was the counselor? Second time? Okay. And the student? So how did the student find the experience?
She actually listened.
Okay.
She believed my story.
So that was important, eh? That she heard you but also understood.
Safe to talk to her because she did pay attention. She was listening to every word I said. Yeah.
Okay,
and
good.
she was right there with me, the situation that I'm in.
You're like, I approve of this. You can do this. Well done.
I felt like I could tell her anything.
Great. What was your experience of it?
Yeah, at first I don't know what to say. Then because she was a little bit tricky, but the clinic passed on. She doesn't have a death certificate. That there's problems in the family.
So it was a lot of issues at once. It felt tricky for you.
By, I don't know what is the word for this. Telling her what she said.
Okay, so you're paraphrasing, you're reflecting.
Reflecting, yes, and then after then the information came back that okay, I need to do this. Yes.
So with the paraphrase and the reflection, it gave you time just to think, okay.
Yes,
So it's almost buying you some time.
That's how I understood what to say, and then after that, then I could come up with options that she must decide which one can be best suited.
So it sounds like the paraphrase and reflecting also helped you to make sense of what she was saying. Yeah? Observer? Was you the observer? What did you observe there?
That she was very sensitive to the power.
Okay.
It's not something that you would necessarily understand in every culture that we just discussed. Grandmother passed away and raised her as a mother. She understood that does happen. And she asked the student what she thinks would be the solution to solve the problem.
Okay.
Because sometimes we assume that students just want to work. She asked her what she thinks.
And that was powerful because it gave the power back to her.
Yeah.
She had to make a choice and decide where she wants to go. Good. Who hasn't had a chance to be a counselor?
It didn't feel like a punishment.
Ah, interesting.
Then give her an option of maybe since she doesn't have a letter, the certificate, whether to write an extra assignment, whether she will come and prove that. And then at the end I ask her whether how does she feel about it.
Okay, good. So who's having a turn next? One more role play? Okay, and you are the?
I'm the student.
So you are going to be the counselor. Because, okay, so student counselor. Yes, two people can observe. No worries, 2 people can observe. All right. Are we good? Second round? We good? Okay, and how did it go? Who was the student? Okay, no worries. We can.
Yeah, except but that was a joke. my students know my guidance.
Okay. So you are aware that you make jokes when you're nervous and anxious, and so your students are also aware of that. That is essential, ne? Because then it means that you understood each other carefully well. Okay, and the student, how did you feel?
Yeah, I felt that she listened to me, making eye contact all the time, and she asked me if she could refer me to student counselling or if there's anything else that I needed that she could help me with, that I should come to her.
So the whole process now of after going through this workshop, do you feel a little bit more equipped of handling this? I could do this a little bit more.
The one thing specifically for me is to not to try to close all those the gaps. Is to sit back and not try to always try to solve the problem.
To be the superhuman and solve everything, because we're aware that's what we are. At home I do this because I am the person in charge who has to do all of this. So here I'm the mom and I do it as well. That self-awareness is good. So you want to try one more time? Who hasn't had a chance to be counselor? Or are you exhausted? Okay, no worries. You were going to say?
I just wanted to ask something. I've had students come to me during class, so not to the office, it's not private, they come to me during class. Just matter of factly, they just tell me, ma'am, I was not in class yesterday because my dad passed away. And they just go on very matter of fact. You must feel like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Because yes, you think of practical stuff like that, but you also want to
so generally
show some. Sometimes I keep on talking, then you almost afterwards I think maybe I should have shown more sympathy.
But it seems like for them, if they keep on talking, they just want to get it out. And you allow them to get it out. If there's a space, you can say, thank you for sharing that with me. If you want to talk a little bit more, you're happy to come and chat with me about it. But thank you for sharing that. It must have been hard for you. You kind of just acknowledge that they were brave enough to share it, and you allow them to decide whether they want to share something. Because it comes back to the same thing. You want to close the gap, like, I should say something. I should be doing something. and maybe that's not what they
It's more
need.
sensitive because I mean, if
Yes.
someone like if a parent is authorized, if it had happened to us, it's terrible.
But when it happens to us, when we say it, we pause, and we're almost expecting that person, and we give them permission to speak in our space. So if they're not giving you that, it's possible that they just need to just get it out of their system. Does that make
I'm
sense?
so glad if they also had a factor of when there was a death in the family. Because then I'm also relaxed,
Yes,
more relaxed
sure.
about
Because it feels tense
because
for you.
feel, okay, no, it seems like they are handling it.
Yes.
And so so I also just say I'm so sorry to hear.
Yes,
the
and
loss.
that's when you go to looking at their presentation,
Yeah.
their mood, their body language. They may be saying it matter of factly, but you're also watching what's their posture like, they're looking down, and then you can read a lot into that as well. Are we good? Second role play done? And who was the counselor?
I was.
And the student? Okay, how did you feel as a student?
I felt threatened.
Okay.
Because we did a negative way. I was raped and I was really scared and then I went to his office to report the whole thing. Oh, he threatened me, he judged me, why am I wearing that, I've asked for it and as a student literally I wanted to run away.
Okay.
Because I did not get the comfort that I was looking for.
So you're looking for the comfort and you felt it wasn't there.
Yes,
Okay.
I got judgment.
What was the counselor feeling? How was that situation?
She reported that she was raped. I judged her on what she was wearing. A lot of the times, your appearance gave away sort of eventualities of what's going to happen.
So that is one of the assumptions we make,
Yes.
and we want to be aware that this could be mine and not the students. And so now in your hindsight, you kind of say, okay, that was my assumption of the
She
situation.
went asking for it. How she informed. Yes, she informed me of how it happens. She went on a date with a 45-year-old male.
And that frown was enough to tell her, like, 45-year-old.
Yeah.
So you felt judged. Should I tell your mother what you do?
Yeah. And I begged him not to.
And I asked if her father knows, what would her father think of what she done. She should tell her father, and she should be absconded from her home because she did the most cruelest of evil. She went looking for it.
Okay.
Because we did that, it is reality.
Okay.
We wanted to have a reality check. What is happening? What around us?
So let me just check. So you're saying that your portrayal there was what you think the student would expect to find in a counseling session if she had to go for. You wanted to portray that.
Yes.
So it's not really what you would do.
No, not me as a person.
Okay. What would you, as if you were the counselor, do in that situation? Let's hear from the observer first. What was the interaction like? And
What was the intention?
interaction like? So when you observed, was any of that present?
The posture was open, but it was sort of, why did you do it? You know, if you've done that, then this was the obvious outcome.
Okay. So all the don'ts of the counseling came in, and you are saying it was deliberate.
Yeah.
So let's try it in a way that's not deliberate. So you want to do the real situation. Yeah? Let's see how it will come across. Think we want to try that again? Yeah.
Same facts.
Same?
Same facts.
Up to you. Up to you. It would be interesting if you do present the same facts, because then you're saying what is not non-judgmental. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does non-preaching sound like in this situation? What does empathy sound like in this situation, even though I've done all of this? Remember your don'ts. You want to go back and say, okay, how much of this and how much of that are we showing in this situation? Yeah. I think it's a difficult case also, and that's why it brings out a lot of the emotions. Good. Did we have our second round? And our student was? And how was it, student?
The scenario was I was coming to him as a lecturer because boys were harassing me and other girls in class and was sort of bringing it to his attention. and I did feel safe.
Okay.
And then opened up and sort of took charge of the situation. The other side of the coin is that it was eventually to say, I was scared that they would highlight it was on me, but then he did reiterate and created a safe space to say, no, I'll make it, this is the plan.
Okay, so he listened to your fears and anxieties and was able to support you to make you feel more comfortable. You felt listened to? Okay, good. As the counselor, how does that for you?
The situation, I almost had exactly the same type of situation in the past. And I told him I think it was from my past experience, the way I started reacting in the situation. But I was glad that, for example, a student comes to you and tells you what's the problem. Because we are lecturers, we are busy, we don't always see what happens in the class with everybody.
So there's an eye-opener.
So if they don't tell us, we don't know about it. So that's what I really liked. And then also that she was afraid of being put in the spotlight in class, and then I just reassured her that I won't make it on her. I'll make it almost like a different type of scenario.
So you gave reassurance, and the fact that you had this past experience helped you feel more comfortable dealing with the scenario. Yeah? Were you able to manage those who was observing? Okay.
Open, he listened, he stayed calm the whole time, and he reassured her the whole time she's safe, nothing will happen to her. If there's another problem, she can come and talk to him. We'll address it in the class, or we'll take it from top management.
So did it feel genuine and real, or was he just saying it felt like okay?
Yeah, I did, because I was fidgeting quite a lot, and that kind of thing, and he didn't really, in this particular session, what felt nice is he didn't necessarily lead in, almost not at all, because this situation was like harassment, because he was a gentleman, he kept that
So we're
space.
sensitive to the issue and made sure that he didn't respond inappropriately.
Because, we did have another person, but I was being extra
Yes,
fidgety
sure.
and everything, so we respected that space. Good. That's what I want the students would all need.
Right, thanks for that. Let's see what we can get in the big group. All right, let's have feedback to the big group, if that's okay. All right, so let's hear from you, your experience of this. You've come in with quite a lot of expectations. And so far we've covered some of them, and this part of the role play helps you to integrate quite a lot, almost all that we've done this morning. Awareness of yourself. Why am I feeling anxious and angry right now when the student raises this issue? How should I say this? What should I say there? Why am I closing the gap in here? And so this role play, how was it for you? Stressful, tense. Am I going to do it right? Am I doing it wrong? What am I doing here? Right? So maybe let's ask it differently. Have you found so far that you've managed to pick up enough or sufficiently enough to support you if a student had to walk into your office tomorrow with an issue? Do you feel you have some basic skills in supporting that student? What would stand out for you? I know once somebody had said it was the fact that I don't want to rush in anymore. I kind of know now that I should be okay with the silence that comes through. Anything else? In your role as student or counselor?
I was thinking that you're related a lot now today, but it's something that you have to constantly remind yourself of as well, so that you're all prepared, because it's not always scheduled appointments. Sometimes they just arrive and they start talking, and you have to be able to deal with it and think on your feet.
It's almost like you have to switch off what you were doing and be present in their space. Yeah.
I think you should constantly remind yourself of these things, maybe rehearse certain things in your head almost, especially if it's a situation that makes you a bit uncomfortable, so that it doesn't take you by surprise, but you'll be more calm and able to handle the situation.
It's interesting when you say, especially when it's a situation that makes you more uncomfortable. And I think many of the situations, for some of us was easy, it came naturally, we felt like we can do this. Others were like, yo, it's a big task. And as I'm doing it, I'm feeling like, I don't know if I can do this, if the student does come to me. And that's an important awareness to have, because then you know what is it that you can manage and what you're comfortable with. So when the student is asking for more than that, you should be able to refer to say, I'm happy to send you or support you by doing this, that and the other. Sound okay? Yeah. Anything came out of those role plays It was interesting in this group, there was a deliberate attempt to do it the wrong way. And that brought out quite a lot of important issues. Maybe you guys want to share that with us?
One of the things, not the things we spoke about, Louis is a touch person and I'm not. So, and as soon as there's a serious issue, the student comes to you and she tells you that, then my face will hopefully back down. But hopefully, one thing saying, not that I show my real emotion, what's going on in my heart. But another thing is, if that happens, will the student would say, there's no reaction. There must be reaction because it's so severe. So there's that fine line again, if you show reaction or not. And then another thing is, in my office, Dave, and I don't have a desk in front of me, so I'm not talking over to my students. I'm literally turning away from my computer like this, and the distance between this and there. So it is a distance, and I need to stand up to reach to the student. But many times it's male students coming into my office to discuss something. Then I need to keep my professional boundaries, so I can't say, I'm sorry about your father passing. But now, if I'm not doing this, that doesn't mean I'm not sincere, because I'm sincere in my action and my emotion, but I cannot touch a male or female student at all because of certain issues.
So I think that's essential because we have a lot of harassment issues on campus. Lots of female students indicate that the lecturers are there, the fathers